I never thought I'd be making a video like this, but Valve just randomly decided to lift the embargo on talking about their new in development game, Deadlock. Believe it or not, I've actually had the privilege of being able to play this game since the beginning of June, and in that time have seen it expand and grow a lot already. However, because of the massive secrecy surrounding the game, I've also seen a lot of misinformation spread about it, so I'm making this video to kind of just give my thoughts on what I've played and explain what Deadlock even really is, from the perspective of someone who is really awful at shooters and has never played any MOBA, for people who suck at shooters and don't play MOBAs. Now technically Deadlock is a MOBA, similar to something like Dota 2 or god forbid League of Legends, but I'm a big fat stupid fucking idiot and I've never played one, so this means nothing to me. I'm sure a lot of people also hear that comparison and instantly start getting worrying ideas in their head. I've never played League, but it's hard to not have some vague notions of what it must be like. But thankfully, Deadlock is much more of a team shooter than that, so let me just tell you the basics of a movie real quick. See these lanes on the map? Your team's job is to take them on. 2 solo and 2 as a pair. Break through to the enemy base and kill the Moai looking motherfucker that pays for the Patreon subscriptions. That's it. The game is set in the 1950s, in the fictional city of New York, home to many creatures such as Italians and mythical tunnel rabbis. The setting actually reminds me a bit of a light-hearted version of Dishonored setting, which is not a bad thing at all. The cast is consequently pretty varied, with all of them having a unique backstory briefly told to you in a readable text blurb. You have a Yakuza whose story is entirely in Japanese, a gargoyle who randomly sprang to life one day, and a sentient frog hive mind pretending to be a singular human being. My favorite has to be Jacob Lashtel. Why, you ask? Well, you see, he is an asshole. Visually, you might have also noticed that as of the current build, some of the characters look somewhat out of place. See, at an earlier point in development, the game used to have a sci-fi setting, and characters like the aforementioned Yakuza Yamato stuck around from that. Their designs are far from final and are going to be completely revamped from the ground up. I've seen a lot of complaints about them looking generic, and just want to clear up that misconception here. This isn't going to be in the final game. This is. The same goes for the map, by the way. It's far from finished and most likely won't be the only one in the game. In the final release, each character is also going to have their own story mode in the style of a visual novel, with full voice acting and everything, which is pretty cool. Gameplay wise, I've definitely had the most fun with Paradox, Slash, and the newly released Shiv, though this dude seems pretty fun too. Every single character has some sort of role to play in their party, but nobody's ever dependent on anybody else. I mean, hell, Ivy is pretty much the only supporter class in the game so far. Each team consists of 6 characters, but you can only have one of each in every round. So, when matchmaking, you have to select at least 3 characters to be in your rotation. Everyone gets 4 special skills. The more you progress on a lane, the more you gradually unlock and upgrade, with each having 4 tiers that gradually get stronger. Pretty much all of these skills are useful, but personally I love Paradox's AoE time bomb, as the impact sticks around and deals damage over time. There's also souls, which you get either from killing enemy mooks or actual enemies. And this is the main thing you want to look out for. You can actually steal the soul gain from your enemies by shooting the little souls that pop out of the mooks when they die before it gets attributed to anybody, which is incredibly useful. These let you buy passives for your character at any shop belonging to your team on the map. There's 3 types of them, and these can range from anything like a speed boost to triple damage when dealing headshots. The amount of ways you can build your character in a single round is absolutely staggering. Getting enough souls is how you unlock more of your active skills to begin with too, so it's a valuable resource all around. What this also means is that if you're a level 5 Apple Eater with 2 passives and only 3k souls to your name, you probably shouldn't try to take on an enemy Imperialist who's been fed 20k souls and whose health bar looks like it could be the map of Illinois flipped on its side. I mean, you can try of course, but then you're probably gonna die feeding them even more souls and making them even stronger. There are actually 3 other ways to gain souls other than just killing enemies or their little foot soldiers. The first is to take on these neutral NPC monsters all across the map. They're not hostile to anybody until attacked and serve as a pretty solid soul resource. Just make sure not to attack any that are clearly above your level, which is marked on the map. The second is the urn. Sometimes during a match an urn will randomly spawn in the middle of the map. Manage to carry it across to a designated position and your team will be rewarded with a shit ton of soul. And lastly is the boss that randomly spawns in the middle of the map, around halfway point of the match I think. You can gather what this guy does on your own, but beating him also gives you an additional perk of a one-time use 10-second respawn, which is especially useful in high rank matches. There's also gambling, but I abstain and disavow. That's pretty much it in terms of a usual match. The game really isn't as complex as it may seem at first. With a good team and good coordination, anything is doable, though obviously matches are gonna take a good while because of this. In my experience, the average length of matches is around 40 minutes, though I've seen them go on longer than that on numerous occasions. Now let's talk about my favorite part of the game. The movement is absolutely fantastic. Each lane has these zip lines you can hook onto that let you travel across them, and they're pretty satisfying to use. On foot you can jump and dash, the amount of times you can do that being limited by your stamina bars, which recharge relatively quickly, especially with certain passive quirks equipped. They're extremely satisfying to use and make getting out of a risky situation pretty manageable. There's also a melee attack that can be charged and does pretty good damage. In case you get meleeed, you can also try and use a parry to negate all damage. Using it is pretty tricky but damn useful. However, as you've probably noticed in all the footage, I'm not really using any of these things efficiently. Instead, I'm constantly dashing and then immediately crouching. This lets you slide, which aside from being unnecessarily fun to use, also makes it so that during the animation, your bullets don't run out and you don't have to reload. Oh yeah, regular shooting is a thing. I forgot to mention that, I guess. I mean, it's pretty satisfying, but also Valve started an entire gaming empire off of games where you do basically nothing but shoot things, so I feel like that kind of goes without saying unless your only experience with Valve is like Ricochet or some shit, which at that point I have to ask, how does that even happen? There's one big thing to mention here though. Please don't try to snipe with a character who isn't a sniper. The further away you are from your target, the less damage you do. It's just flat out not going to work. Getting back on topic, the movement gets even better when you get into the character skills, as a lot of them happen to be directly synergizing with the movement, like Infernus's fire dash or Lash being able to fling himself into the air. There's also a really tight window of time where you can jump out of a dash to let you get even more of a boost, while crouching twice mid-air slams you back to the ground. You know a game's doing well when just the act of moving around is pretty fun in and of itself. And you know what? That's pretty much it. Deadlock really isn't as complex as it may come off, and I honestly think that's for the best. They're basically giving you a sandbox shooter with a bunch of tools to make the game play in a way that suits you best. And it's paying off pretty damn well, and I do think it's justified to actually look forward to this game, even if a bunch of people who've never played it and have no idea what it's actually like will tell you otherwise. Will I personally be playing it when it officially drops? Maybe for a bit, but I'm also not much of a multiplayer shooter guy at all. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how the game evolves as development goes on. Until then, I will definitely continue fucking around with the trainer some more, like spawning so many NPCs that the game just shits itself. That was a very fun time. With all of that said, I wish you all a wonderful morning, day, evening or night. I'm gonna go finish watching Twin Peaks now. Cheers.